You know those videos that sometimes play when you leave a game on the title screen for too long? Well, in Mindjack, that video is one of the coolest parts of the game. In a few short minutes, it paints a vivid picture of a grim future where non-corporeal brains zip through the air, hijacking people during their daily routines in order to advance their own agendas. The scene depicts two opposing minds hopping between individuals, turning policemen on their fellow officers, and turning lovers into bitter enemies. These conflicts soon blossom into a full-blown firefight as more and more brains arrive on the scene, hijacking anyone nearby in order to kill their hijacked enemies. The body count quickly builds as the brains jump from person to person in a blaze of fierce gunplay and vicious melee attacks. It's a frightening vision of future conflict even before the giant robo-gorilla arrives, and it really gets you amped up to experience the fearsome and dynamic action for yourself. Unfortunately, Mindjack does not make good on this promising premise. Yes, you can leave the main character's body and take control of enemies, civilians, and robots. You have a lot of chances to do this throughout the campaign, but the story barely scratches the surface of the profound societal changes this kind of technology could create. Instead, it wades through cliché after cliché, making unlikely allies and unexpected twists seem like the natural course of events, and completely bungling the dramatic reveal.
Gardner's waiting for us at the top of Nurkis Tower.
Let's get the son of a bitch.
In addition to the lame plot, you must suffer through the lame banter between the two main characters, one of whom often sounds like he's yelling for no reason. And the environments mostly come in varying shades of gray, making this future feel lamentably bland. Yet though the story doesn't do much with your remarkable abilities, you still can. Popping out of the main character's body and zipping into a weakened enemy, an idle robot, a cowering civilian, or, yes, a giant robo-gorilla, has a novel appeal. Turning an enemy's floating gunbot on themselves is definitely satisfying, while making a terrified businesswoman stand up and coolly blast an enemy's brains out is a different kind of thrill. It is empowering in a way, but how do you feel when that woman is gunned down and you move on to invade another disposable civilian to perform your violent acts? Well, that's between you and your controller because, as mentioned before, Mindjack barely manages to set the stage. It's up to you to put on the show and weigh the significance of your actions. Unfortunately, no matter what character your disembodied self is currently controlling, movement is stiff and cumbersome. Every character has a robotic feel, like you are accessing the run program instead of just running. It's stilted and slow and unnatural, but since everyone is more or less bound by the same restrictions, you can still have some intense gun battles. These mostly test your accuracy from behind cover and your ability to dodge a rocket, but there is a certain amount of skill at play. Just don't waste too much time on the melee attack. Landing the finicky combos often feels like a crapshoot, and if you take a human shield, you'd better hope your enemies shoot him up good, because otherwise the only thing you can do is let him go so he can turn around and shoot you in the face. This awkwardness extends to the enemy AI, which aspires to competence. The best your enemies can manage is shooting at you from behind cover, but you'll often see them running back and forth nonsensically, as if caught in some broken logic loop. You can program weakened enemies to fight on your side, and this ability is helpful to the extent that it gives the enemy AI something else to shoot at. Your foes are good shots at least, so you have to be mindful of keeping your two protagonists alive. A helpful healing ability can perk them back up when they are incapacitated. Just be warned that this ability is not available in all characters, so you may end up watching your heroes die if you aren't careful. Mindjack poses a decent challenge that can get much harder if you choose to allow other players to join your game. While they can end up on your side, more often than not they will invade as your enemies, making your foes smarter and tougher. Up to 6 players can be in the same match, though this flexibility can result in some frustratingly lopsided contests, unless you limit the amount of players that can join the match. Fighting to spoil someone's progress has a dastardly appeal, and even if you lose during a certain scenario, the next one brings a change of scene and new characters to Mindjack. Yet, even the thrill of playing the villain soon wears thin, because Mindjack's gameplay mechanics are so inelegant. It's hard to enjoy a game when you can't move the way you want to move. And beyond the cool premise and intriguing mind-hacking ability, Mindjack really doesn't do you any favors. Whether it's your friendly AI parking itself in your gun sights, or the dull bosses that can barely muster the energy to dodge your attacks, every part of this game feels tainted. Mindjack does have a few bright spots, but they are smothered beneath the weight of the awkward controls and squandered potential.